Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Matterhorn channel. Today, we have a great announcement as well as showing you our new branding. If you'll see at the top there and on the intro video, it says powered by Metapulse. And I am joined here today by the CEO of Metapulse, Mr. Michael Linzar. Michael.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good to be finally on the show. It's been like a year you've been threatening.
Well, I've had your partner Tony on for several videos.
True. So... Okay, that's fine.
But for everybody watching, the reason that this is a big announcement is that we've actually partnered with Metapulse for the YouTube channel. Metapulse is a fantastic business management software that we have been using on our own end since the beginning of Matterhorn, several years now. Yep. We recommend it to all of our clients, and we integrate some of the things that we do with them into Metapulse. And the owners of Metapulse, Michael and your partner Tony, have become fantastic friends of ours. And Tony has been a big help to us in the last 6-7 months here. And when they saw the growth on the YouTube channel, they said, you know, we want to be able to partner and work with you and help your clients even more and help your viewers even more with free business advice and training. And we looked at it as an opportunity to be able to help bring more tools to business owners to help them grow. And so we are now, the YouTube channel is now sponsored by Metapulse, which is awesome because it also gives me the opportunity to have some other smart minds come in and give help to our clients and give help to our viewers. And so, Michael, thank you very much for wanting to be a part of our growth and of helping our clients. And why don't you just kind of introduce yourself and let people know what Metapulse is all about and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So Metapulse, I started Metapulse back in, almost 2010. And I've been building it for that whole time. And it was grown out originally from this idea that a lot of companies out there don't really know how to know if their company is going to grow or if it's going to sink. Mm-hmm. And it's such a fundamental datum that it's really surprising when you point this out to business owners. You know, you say how the company's going, they're going, yeah, it's good. Like they feel good, or they see some income in the bank, or, you know, the bank account balance is suddenly, you know, $100,000 higher than it's ever been. And like 2 weeks later, it's at zero. And they're like, where did all the money go? Or suddenly the tax bill comes in, but it was getting to a point where I was growing my own businesses. So I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I've started and successfully exited now from 4 different SaaS businesses. I'm about to do my 5th this year, and then probably 6th the year after, and then I'll just be 100% on Metapulse, which is exciting. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a journey. Metapulse is all about knowing how to grow. It's the world's first growth management system. You'll see that on our taglines. We have launched ourselves as that, and we're trying to just be that in the market. And when I talk to CEOs, they just say Metapulse helps them know where they are, where they want to be, and how to get there. So that's fundamentally what it is we do.
And, the main thing that I loved about Metapulse was that I could track and see everything that I was doing with KPIs and indicators. And I know that that's really where it started, was being a statistical management type of system, which is how I've always used it. I have 3 companies, Matterhorn, 2 others. I track everything and use Metapulse religiously for that. And I've gotten a number of people to sign up with you guys because it's like, you can only go so far by just putting in a Microsoft spreadsheet of, your numbers, and it gets too cumbersome and it's too big. And after 2 years, you've just got too much information. And, Metapulse allowed me to scale all that type of stuff up. But now you guys are also doing so much more than just KPIs.
And well, it's interesting that you go down that path, because We did start with KPIs because I actually needed it in my own companies, my
Yeah.
other companies. So I just went, screw it. I couldn't find what I wanted, so I just built it, right? It's the advantage of being a software developer.
Yeah.
You can do this sort of thing. So, but anyway, I started building it and I built it out. But then I came to a fundamental realization that's in a lot of systems that track KPIs and statistics, there's a fundamental flaw, which we've figured out sort of in Metapulse, which is it's fine to track the statistics of each individual staff member, but if you don't have the relationship of those staff or team or contractors or external companies and how they relate to the rest of your organization with an organizational layout, we call it an org chart. Lots of words for it, but basically, who reports to who. If you don't have that worked out, then the statistics and the KPIs will only get you so far in terms of that communication and understanding how your organization runs. So one of the things we did with Metapulse very, very early in the piece, I think it was probably the third major feature we built, was a full org chart system. And what that allows you to do is put everyone in your company into Metapulse. We don't charge per user, so you can add 300 people. I don't care. Add the cleaner. I know companies that do. They've got the cleaner on the org chart. So if there's something wrong, someone else in the company can find the cleaner and let them know, hey, blah, blah wasn't done, and it gets fixed, right? I mean, in my companies, I've got my lawyers, my accountants. We don't have cleaners because we're a remote office. But all of those sorts of random people that you wouldn't traditionally buy a company software license for, you can just put them into Metapulse. And that then gives you a structure of your organization. And once you know a structure of an organization, you can make that structure stronger by then allocating, these are your KPIs, this is your area's KPIs, this is your data, and really push it through that way.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually bigger now than it was even 2 years ago, because I think now companies are so fragmented, and we've just come to accept the fact that, 5 people are going to be the office instead of 25. And, I've had many arguments with different internet keyboard warriors who tell me how wrong I am. But, separating a team is never a good thing. And we believe
you have to have a lot of process in place.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm separating a team that was together out is near high. I mean, it can be done. Absolutely. I mean, I run all of my companies are remote, and they've always has been. But there are some things that you can do remote, and others that don't work very well remote. And if you separate it all out and make it all remote, and you don't have a structure there,
exactly,
it doesn't work. And that's really where that whole org chart came in. It's funny you actually mentioned that. If I could sidetrack a little bit, we did a survey of 50 CEOs and throughout America.
Yep.
You have to forgive my accent. I'm Australian. G'day, mate. How's it going? All right.
As my dad would say, Michael talks funny.
Michael talks funny. Yeah.
That's what my dad always said about anybody who pretty much wasn't from Indiana.
Whenever I spoke to your dad, he'd always go, "What? Could you say that again?" And I'd have to go into my, Texas drawl. He'd go, "Oh, I get it now." Right.
I see what you're saying.
Anyway, what was I saying? 50 CEOs.
50 CEOs, yeah.
Yeah. So we surveyed 50 CEOs of 50 companies that had 50 or more staff.
Okay.
Right. Now, if you want to pick a demographic that's hard to get on the phone to do a survey for, that's probably it. Yeah. Because at 50 staff, the CEO is losing their mind, because there's been some studies that about 50 staff is where you start not knowing everyone's name in the company. Like someone could walk past you on the street that works for you and you wouldn't recognize them type thing.
Recognize them.
Unless you're doing flashcards or you're actively training on it. At 50, you've lost it. And we surveyed them, and 97% responded as their number one problem in business, which is a ridiculous survey response to get 97% on anything, was no way to accurately measure the performance of their staff. Right? So that's got two aspects to it, right? One, where are they? Are they even doing the work that we think they're meant to be doing? Do they even know what they're meant to be doing? And secondly, how do I measure that? So that's what Metapulse is pulling in, and we're attempting to address that problem. And it's growing massively.
Yeah, it's growing massively with the splitting up of the teams. And, I believe, yeah, it's okay to fragment the team out and have them work remotely with the technology that we have now. But like you said, there has to be a structure in place,
Yes.
or else it's not going to work, and
Yeah.
the company is going to suffer as a result of it. And I think that we've seen 2 years later, we're seeing the side effects of people working from home thinking, oh, everything's normal. Everybody's just working from home. But you can't predict without a structure in place what's actually going to occur in the future. And so now we're seeing side effects of that in a lot of industries, delays on, music, delays on videos, delays on movies, delays in big productions because they thought, well, everybody's worked from home doing their thing and it's cool. But then you
It'll be all
realize,
good. Yeah.
wait a minute, I thought that person was supposed to do that and they didn't. And now we're 6 months behind schedule, stuff like that happening. And so I think Metapulse is more relevant than ever as a result of the fact that people are breaking their teams apart.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a really interesting dynamic when you start, one of the, no, this happens. You have to forgive me. I sort of go down this and then I go, oh my God, oh, shiny. One of the another one. One of the things that we found with Metapulse is one of the features that we launched recently that I've been dreaming about for a decade, basically, to launch this thing. But I couldn't launch it until we had the org chart fully in place, until we had the responsible members and the report lines and the objectives, key results, and who reports to who and how it all happens. We've launched our knowledge feature, and one of the things that does is allows you to make sure that everyone who's on your org chart in the post that they're meant to be on knows what they're meant to be doing, right? And it trains them, and that gets over this. But I thought Bob was doing it, right? Because you then have everyone knowing how to do what the company does and produce what the company produces. And then as a CEO, it's really interesting. Your job becomes write a new document, a new knowledge item every day or two. Every time someone comes to you with a, hey, should I do A or B? That's an indication as an executive that you don't have policy in place to direct the company. If people are having to come with you to make decisions, you haven't spelled out what the decision is, or you haven't explained how the company works enough that they can make an intelligent decision, right?
Yep.
If your brand is all about quality and high quality, top of the industry, and you have a team member come to you saying, yeah, we couldn't quite get product X. I could get this much cheaper version for Y to use in the product. Is that fine? Well, obviously you haven't communicated to your company that no, only the best will do, right? So it's been really interesting, the whole progression of how we've managed to pull that together and seen the results in our company clients. One of the advantages we have is we get some anonymized results of how well, every company across the whole system is doing, and everyone's expanding. It's fantastic to watch. It's really quite heartwarming. It's the reason I built the system, right?
Yeah, you get to help a lot of different people all over the world with a bazillion different industries all at the same time. So it must be pretty cool to see all that going on inside of your network.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fantastic to watch. And, you get we'll do demos with clients that go, oh my God, finally, I now understand, how I can manage this business, especially as everyone started scattering to the four winds and not wanting to come back into the office. And how do you run that? How do you maintain that? And I think one of the things that is missed a lot is with measuring KPIs is unless someone in an organization has a KPI of some sort or a production statistic that they're measured by, their position or their requirement to be in the organization is tenuous, if not just arguable. Do you need that person there if they're not producing anything? And it's a really interesting sort of thought process. And then you get some employees that go, well, yeah, but my position is blah, blah, and I do 400 different things. And you go, well, okay, so what are the 400 hats? And then you break it down. It's usually about 4 or 5 hats, but everything's so random that they don't know.
They don't realize
they're working on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then you start breaking that down. You go, okay, well, you've got these 4 hats. Well, what does each one of these hat produces, right? And they go, I don't want to get into that. And you go, well, hang on a minute. If we work that out and we see that one hat is like 90% of your week and the other two are 10% of your week, or the other three are 10% combined, maybe we'll get someone to do that hat full time and you can focus on these three. And they go, oh, actually, that makes sense. And then it allows you to start figuring this stuff out.
Yep.
And it's very powerful as a business owner to really capture. And I know you guys talk about this all the time on the channel. I mean, I'm a subscriber. I watch. I drink my own Kool-Aid when I sponsor a channel. But the whole idea is, how do you measure that? And if you do keep track of it, it definitely separates the wheat from the chaff in your organization. But it also allows you to spot, well, where are things down? Where are things broken? Where do we need to fix it?
Yeah, and I also want to address two things based off what you were just talking about. First off, I want to tell everybody out there that whether you have a business by yourself or you have hundreds of employees, I've personally used Metapulse in both of those situations. So in one business,
I think our largest client has just on 2,000 employees in 7 countries.
2,000 employees can be run through Metapulse. So can I, who has just myself, right?
Right.
But one of the biggest things about KPIs or statistics, whatever it is that you call it, I always call them statistics, but KPIs is like the new word. I get comments all the time on some of our videos when we talk about staff or employees having statistics, and these people come on and they're like, well, if my boss tried to tell me that I had this graph and this statistic, I'd quit. And I don't really say this, but sometimes I do. I say, well, I'm sure your boss would appreciate you quitting then. Because I have employees in one of my businesses. And what happens is every Monday I come into my office and on my desk, I have 2 pieces of paper upside down. And my manager puts all the company statistics on a piece of paper. And I review all the numbers and I upload all of my statistics into Metapulse. And I put in 5 numbers that we run the business off of. And then each one of my employees has 2 statistics. And if I don't print off their graphs from the week before and give them to them Monday morning, at lunchtime, they stop by my desk while I'm eating my lunch and they're like, are we going to get our graphs today? Like, are we going to? The employees are excited to see what they did the week before.
Yeah, totally.
And they want to know, did that number go up? Did that number go down? And I even write notes to them on their graphs when I give it to them. I circle it and I go, great week last week. Keep it up. Yeah. And I stick that up on their desk and they're like, and maybe it was a bad week. And I go, hey, you'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll work it out. And I put it up there and I give them encouragement. And the employees actually really respond to that. And that's like a key thing that I want to let business owners know, is that if you're actually using statistics properly and you actually get your team excited about what their jobs are, they actually enjoy it and they use that to motivate them and feed them to growing on their job, because they come up to me and they go, how do I do better? Like, this isn't good enough for me. How do I do better? And like, that means something to them. And it also means something to me. And that's the power that I have found with Metapulse, with just my 7 employees that I have, right? Like, they love it. And that's a key factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you could take that a step further and have them actually sign in and do their own graph. It'll automatically prompt them and do the whole thing, right? But the as a pro tip, no charge. Actually, I just realized that I've been drinking this can, but I've made sure that the logo is not facing outwards because they haven't paid for channel sponsorship. So
that's fine. That'll be next.
But one of the things I think you struck a nail on the head there was when I bought Metapulse into my own company, right? Because I had to roll out my own product into my own company, and it didn't just magically turn on. I had a company of staff that traditionally are not measured by any sort of statistic, and they're software developers. And I had to really think about what the statistic was that I wanted them to be measured by, right? And I spent a lot of time figuring this out. One of the earlier versions of it was called feature points, which is they're building a feature in the software product, and that feature might be worth, might be a level 1 complexity, level 2, level 3, level 5, level 7, and they could measure and guess that complexity and then deliver that story, and they'd get that many points as a feature, right? And I tried launching that and it didn't work. None of the developers started doing it, and it was all really awkward. And some developers had like 70 per week, and others had 5, and it was a bit like, well, what's going on here? So I had to keep thinking about it, and this is what you have to do as an executive, right? If my audio still on? Something just glitched on my.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Yep. One of the things you have to do as an executive is keep postulating, imagining, and figuring out how is the company going to work better. And I realized that I had half of the statistic right. And the actual statistic was features delivered irrespective of size or complexity, right? So then a feature is defined as a client asking us for, I want a login page, right? And the developer going and developing whatever that feature is, giving it back to the client, and the client saying, yes, that's good, right? That then is a completed feature, and that would be 1 point. And when I launched it, the developers said, but what about really complex features? And I said, you still get 1 point. And they're like, but that's not fair. And I said, well, why don't you just break it down into lots of smaller features then and get 10 points? I don't care. And they looked at me and went, oh, yeah, we could do that. But what that did is, I'm a software developer, so I can say this.
Yeah.
Software developers become software developers partially because they don't really like talking to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Computers do what you tell them to do. People generally don't. Yeah.
True enough. So, yeah, I understand.
So what that created was, it created a situation where these developers were saying to the client, hey, I've delivered blah. Is that okay? Yes, it is. Hey, I've delivered blah. Is that okay? Yes, it is. And suddenly it went up to like 5 or 10 a week of those conversations instead of 1. Mm-hmm. So just by implementing statistics across our development team, our customer satisfaction went up through the roof, because the clients were going, yes, 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 this is good, this is good, this is good, a lot more often. The developers were like gamed on it. They were just figuring out how to make it go up no matter what. And the whole company just went, it was really beautiful to watch. And I think you'll find that the people that don't want to put stats in and don't want to measure production, don't want to measure production. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And and they're not the staff that you want to hang on to for dear life. Mm-hmm. I've seen that time and time and time and time again. And I mean, we implement Metapulse into companies all the time. And if a company's got 100 staff, I go and tell them, look, out of that 100, about 20 are going to be a bit confused by it and ask questions and not be sure if they should do it or not. And 2 or 3 are going to be outright rebellious and just not implement it. And you just need to push it in. And those 2 or 3 will probably leave to go find a company that doesn't measure KPIs. And that's fine. It's not for everyone. And I mean, it could be, but it should be. But
yeah, and I think the big misunderstanding with KPIs, and I see Angelo has a question in the chat, which we're going to get to in just a second. But I think the biggest thing that people don't understand about the KPIs is that it's a production measurement system. So if you go to so here in the United States, we just had the Super Bowl. So we had 2 football teams slugging it out with each other.
Yeah.
All the media talked about for 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl was the statistics of this team versus the statistics of this team, and this quarterback versus this quarterback, and this wide receiver versus the other team's best defender. And people eat that stuff up and they just love it. And they're like, oh, he averages 4.2 yards a carry and that guy averages 4.4 and it's a beast. And, but then you go, hey, you should have numbers like that for your business. And they're like, oh, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
right? So imagine the Super Bowl with no KPIs. It's like, well, this team ended up here and this team ended up here. They wouldn't have anything to talk about for 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, right? It's totally the same type of a thing. So Angelo in the chat says, several years ago, his employer tried to implement KPIs. He's a graphic designer and an animator. So he's curious how KPIs can best be used for creative departments. Yep. So this kind of comes back to what you were just talking about with some of your programmers.
Yeah, because programming is creative.
It's a creative thing as well. And I think at that point, that's a very broad topic and a very broad answer, but you can always, this is my opinion, and I'll let you give your 2 cents as well. You can always break down images rendered, images finished, images approved, how many things went through the rendering phase that were then approved by your seniors as being usable for this graphic or for this thing. And you can always break down into pieces several aspects of it. Not knowing the specifics, Angelo, I can't tell you this is what you track, but you can always find a statistic or a number to put on how many of those things that you got to the end of and you were like, yes, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have this question a lot. You know, I think it's actually I'm taking a little mental note to write a blog post about it. But the key way that you figure out, Angelo, because it's a great question, and I really struggled with it on the software developer side, you know, and coming up with features delivered as the statistic there. But the way you figure it out, the best way to figure it out, I found, is work backwards from what is the final thing that you produce. Like, at what point is what you're working on no longer your responsibility because it's done, right? And it's in the hands with someone else. And you've given it to them for whatever the exchange is back to you, right? So if it's an internal project and you hand it off to the production team, their exchange back to you is a thank you, well done, this is working. Or maybe they don't even respond and the exchange is that there is no angry response saying they want to change. I mean, that's fine. But whatever that exchange is, whatever that exchangeable piece of production is that you've created, that's what you want to measure. And that can be brutal sometimes because you get some jobs where you work that out and you figure out that you only ever exchange one thing every 3 weeks, you know? And then, well, that's what it is, right? And you make a graph, which is every 3 weeks, it goes beep and it does nothing and beep. But then if you've got a graph like that, then you want to work backwards from that exchangeable product and go, well, what is something that I need to produce? What are the subcomponents of that or the subproducts of that I can produce that will end up in that as that exchangeable? And then you might track 1 or 2 of those as well. And that will give you more of a predictive graph that you can play with. And as a, you know, employee of a company, there's nothing stopping you just whacking a graph up on the wall or making an Excel spreadsheet or signing up to Metapulse or getting your boss to approve it and just starting to track it for yourself and your own team. You know, don't wait for management to come and tell you what your KPIs are. If you know what they are, you can start proposing it. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to us on metapulse.com. Just fill out the chat bubble. I'll probably answer, or Tony will, or Oliver, or Lisa, or Abby, or whoever else, right? There'll be lots of people that answer. I think one other thing on the KPI thing, though, which is really important, is it's gotten a negative, in some circles, a negative name because it gets used for the wrong thing.
Exactly.
And
that's actually the biggest thing that I run into is that people, when I say we have to put some statistics together for what you're doing, whatever, they get this idea that there's like 400 numbers and it takes hours of your time a day to track and figure out. And I think that a lot of software these days, you know, your Salesforces, your HubSpots, your things, I think they track so many things that it becomes too data heavy to even be useful. Like, there's nothing, you can't use the information that's in there
because they're not products.
Exactly.
They're not tracking an exchangeable result. And if it's not an exchangeable result, why I mean, you know, there are some exceptions to that, like, you know, cash in the bank or how much profit you made. Well, I mean, profit you made last week, that's exchangeable with the owner, right? Mm-hmm. Or cash in the bank, that's exchangeable in terms of reserves and backup. But even more than tracking the wrong thing, they're used in the wrong way from a management point of view in the past. It tend to become something like your KPI is down or your stats are down, therefore you as an employee are a bad person, right? And the correction or a punishment flow would come down on that. The correct way to use these things like stats is to go the other way around and go, the stats are down. Why?
What
Do
happened?
You need help? What happened?
Did we change something?
Did we change something from a company point of view that screwed up your process, right?
Exactly.
I had this exact thing 2 weeks ago in our Metapulse team meeting. So we do a team meeting every week. We're a remote team. You know, Tony works for me over in Florida. I'm in Sydney. I have someone in Macedonia. I have someone in Orlando. They're scattered all over the world, right? So we do a team meeting once a week where all my team come together and I go over the battle plan and go over what needs to be done and how it's all, you know, where we're going. And we were looking at all of our stats, and we keep stats, obviously. And I mean, it would be a bit of a wild thing.
You guys have a Metapulse account that
we do.
Yep.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I actually also pay for it, right?
What?
No, I'm serious. Because if there's ever a problem with the payment system, I then find out about it as the owner, right? Because I don't want my clients to have the payment problem. So we actually, every month, money comes out of my credit card to pay for my own Metapulse account. Anyway, whatever. But what was my point? Oh, yeah, the stats. So we're going through the stats, and there was one stat there, which is number of hours taken to respond to a support ticket, to close a support ticket on average, right? So from when the ticket opened until the client said, yes, I'm satisfied, and it gets closed, how many hours is that, right? And obviously, the longer that is, the worse it is.
Right.
Because clients want answers, right? And this statistic was just crashing. So it's an upside down graph, which means the bigger the number, the lower the graph goes. So it was like, 20 at the bottom and 0 at the top.
Yeah.
Because it can't go above 0, right? So that's the best it could ever be. That's another tip with graphs. Always graph them. Up is good, bad is down. It just means when you're looking down a page, you can just see it. So anyway, this graph was just crashing. And I'm like, Tony's in charge of he helps run that support area. And I said to him, Tony, what's going on? This is crashing.
Yeah.
And then I scroll the page up a little bit, and the next graph next to it is number of support requests lodged per day. And it's just going, right? So instantly, because I had those two graphs, and without Tony even replying, I could say, right, the reason the number of the time to respond is going up is because the division's just getting overloaded. Like there's just so much more traffic coming into that they just don't have time in the day to close every ticket. So what's the solution? We need another support person. So next week, boom, I hired a support person in. His name's Oliver. He's fantastic. But as a CEO, I didn't have to go, is it about the right time? Is the wind good? Should I really add another team member? It's right there. I need another team member. That's what the graphs say. And it starts taking out some of this ambiguity or what should I do out of business.
Yeah. And that's why we like working with you guys, is that you have solutions that actually help people, and it aligns with what we do, and it aligns with helping our business owners, which is why we refer people to you. Is it helps them get more in control of their business, and you're a platform that we can utilize to help people get more in control of their business. So it's a great partnership. So when we started looking at the idea of having a channel partner or some paid ads or things like that, I told Abby, I said, I don't want to just work with some schmo who wants to pay us money and sell his product. I said, I want to work with my friends. I think you're a
bit more colorful than that when you told me, but we'll leave it at that for the channel.
I won't say what I told you. But yes, I didn't want to just work with random companies, because we did start getting, once the YouTube channel hit a certain point, it's almost like you end up on people's radars as being.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like all of a sudden we just started getting emails from companies. Hey, we'd like you to promote our product, and we'd like you to do this. And I was like, wow, okay, we hit 20,000 subscribers. So I guess we hit some
metric.
We checked some box for all these companies to start emailing us, right? And I just want to work with companies that I know, and companies that have a product that I know we can use. And that's why we wanted to work with you guys, is because I know it works. It's right in line with everything that we do. And we have that synergy, which I think is great, because we'll be able to bounce ideas off of each other. We'll be able to do some live content or some filmed videos when you come to Florida next, or, whatever it is that it continues to help our subscriber base get in control of their business and find solutions. And that's why I thought having you guys come on board was such a great partnership, because we have the same vision. We have the same belief factor of how to help people do better. And that's why I think that this is going to be a great little working relationship here.
Yeah, I think so. And we've got some amazing things coming that I think we've got some competitions and all sorts of things around the corner, which we'll probably announce via this channel and obviously other channels, but we'll be talking about them. And I think there's a really fun opportunity to start taking the garbage out of the day. There's so much bad news out there that let's focus on growing, succeeding, flourishing, expanding, and have fun while we're doing it. I mean, I remember there's some guy that mentioned that.
Have more fun at work.
Oh, yeah. What are the odds? That's right. And I think we've got a book, don't you?
I We do have a book, Fun at
yes.
Work, by
Fun at
Dr.
Work.
Greg Winteregg.
But yeah, if it's not fun, we're not doing it is a great catchphrase, and Greg was known for that. And bless his soul, he's an amazing man. And I think we'll be able to really create some activity. And look, more than happy to come on and do a chat regularly, different topics. Obviously, this one was a bit sprawling and all over the joint, but
yeah,
one of the things we just went over could be an hour. I mean, it's just
easily. But that's why we'll be able to do many different types of things together. So to everybody that is still watching, feel free to leave comments down below about what things you need help with related to your business that Michael and I can talk about, or we can do a separate topic on, or a live stream on. But if you are interested in learning more about Metapulse, all you have to do is go to metapulse.com. You'll get a whole briefing on how it works, what it does. And then, as Michael said, there's a chat box that you can feel free to type into, and one of their awesome team members will answer you immediately and be able to help you out. Pretty close to immediately.
And we'll also help, like if you're a business owner and you don't even know where to start, we will either give you some basic help to move you forward, or get hold of the Matterhorn team and they can establish you and get you all set up on Metapulse. They know the system very, very well, and they've done it already for quite a few of their clients. So, that's part of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build a network of competent consultants that can actually help our clients get on board, and Matterhorn are one of the premier ones. So get in there and get rolling.
And I have some guests lining up here in the next, hopefully, month, 6 weeks, to provide some other advice into finance, into legal, etc. That and some of those people as well. We work with them together, and I want to bring in awesome, reliable people in their professions to give free advice and to give help to you business owners, whether you're big or small, because there's actually a lot of things that you don't think about in a small business that you need to have in place, that you think, oh, well, that's really only something that big companies do or Amazon does. And you realize,
that's right.
I need to be doing that too. Yeah. So we'll be touching a lot of those different types of points. So feel free to leave some comments down below. And again, hit up metapulse.com and link up with Michael and his team and get all your questions answered. So before we head out for today, Michael, is there anything else you'd like to say or communicate based off what we've already gone over?
I don't think so. I think it's been pretty good. I just want to stress, I think, that to all the business owners out there that, I'm a business owner, Neil's a business owner. It's a tough world sometimes, and it can really slam you around a bit. I think having visibility and knowledge about where you stand and where you're moving and what you need to do to move forward, that's how you combat that pressure and that negativity. If you just know where you are and you know where you're going, then it doesn't matter what comes in. So take advantage of it. We've definitely, I'm not in Metapulse for the money. It's always going to be a private company. We're always going to be building it, obviously, for our team and for us and all of our clients. I actually, funny story, I had someone contact me a little while ago after I gave him a briefing about Metapulse, and he was a worked quite large in a large multinational accounting firm. We'll leave it at that. And I explained Metapulse to him, and after the briefing, he turned around and goes, you're growing too small. You need to take VC money. Look, I'll organize someone. We can put 10 million in straight away, and let's take this global, right? And I said, no. And he said, why? And I said, well, I prefer to grow my clients than grow the profit balance. I want to build this as a solution for life for all of those business people out there, and really focus in on what we're doing and just create it. So we've priced it very aggressively. Honestly, it's a couple of coffees, a coffee a week will get you started, in terms of the platform. So get started, and at that low price, you'll get enough to get you rolling, and then you can start expanding it. And I guess the other thing is, don't try and eat the whole elephant, take a bite. and see how it tastes. And you might need
Start
to
with
look
some
at some more.
basic statistics, start with some basic implementation. And
Even
then
just
start
inviting
growing.
all of your team in there and putting them on the org chart and realizing that you have 25 people that report to you directly. I mean, that in of itself is a mind-blowing
Yeah,
realization.
you go, what am I? No wonder I
No
can't
wonder I'm
sleep at night.
stressed.
You know, like
Right.
I'm listening to 25 people. I got to change
That's
this.
right. That's right. So, that's one of the first things we recommend is sign up, create your org chart, no matter what it is. Even if it's just you and 20 people under you, then that's what it is. That's life. And then we can start correcting it and fixing it and helping you expand. But anyway, look, Neil, it's been fantastic to be here. It's been great to finally do this live stream.
Yeah,
And really looking forward to a long and successful partnership. And I think we can definitely deliver some really good value to your viewers and
absolutely.
potentially my customers.
Absolutely. And that is why Matterhorn Business Development YouTube channel is now powered by Metapulse. They
Boom.
are our sponsors, they are our collaborators, because we have that same vision of helping our customers grow, helping our clients do better, and helping you become more successful. So stick around on the channel. We are going to continue to have our usual, 3 videos a week, some live streams, et cetera, et cetera. But with Metapulse's help, we're going to continue to increase the quality of what we can deliver for you. And if there is some specific topics or things that you need help with, please leave some comments down below or email us and say, hey, this is the problem I'm having. What can I do? And we can address that and give you some good information and advice to do that. So at this point, I am going to end the live here. So Michael, you can stay on. I'm just going to hit the end live button, and then you and I will still be here. All right. So to all of you guys out there, we'll see you next time, and continue to have fun and continue to hit your goals and stick around on the channel a little longer, and we'll help you get there. So have a good day.
See you, everyone.